I figured with the release of Joker Folie hitting theaters this weekend and Lady Gaga being someone who is in contention for Best Supporting Actress, there was no better time than to talk about Best Supporting Actress predictions than now. So essentially how this is going to work is it's a power ranking. I've got them broken down. I'm going to rank them. I have 18 names that I wanted to talk about today. I'm going to try to do it in under 20 minutes. I'm going to give my reasoning for where they are on this list. And at the end, you'll let me know if I'm right or I'm wrong. And I'll give my final predictions for this category as well. I took some big swings and some huge risk here, and I'm hoping they pay off. Number 18, kicking off this list, Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown. Reason I have this movie so low, the reason she is number 18, I should just note that the three bottom actresses I have here is simply because their movies are not out. I struggle to see Barbaro getting in this year due to the competition, and I also have this theory that I think A Complete Unknown is really going to be focused around getting Chalamet an Oscar, and I don't think anyone else is going to get as much screen time or focus. That's why she is number 18. Number 17, Connie Nielsen, Gladiator 2. The reasoning I had for this one as well is I just think this is a story that is very male-centric, and from the role that we've seen in the trailer, it just doesn't look like she herself is going to get as much screen time as, let's say, Pedro Pascal, as Joseph Quinn, as Denzel Washington, as our lead in Paul Mescal. So I think it's just going to be the case of she might end up being like the 5th or 6th best performance in a movie that doesn't focus as much on her. Number 16, I have Robin Wright for Here. This one is kind of a high one. This one, I think a lot of you are probably saying this one should be lower. I think you could be right. Here is the reason I have this one higher. I think if this movie's good, it has more room to grow. Robin Wright is certainly a beloved actress within the Academy. She's reuniting with the director of Forrest Gump in Robert Zemeckis. And if this is Zemeckis' first good movie in well over a decade, I think there might be some cause for celebration from that. And I just think Robin Wright seems to be front and center. Reason she's also 16, though, and I actually highlighted her in my notes, I'm still a little unclear if she's Best Supporting Actress or Best Actress. I don't know if it's been decided at this moment. Number 15 and number 14, I'm going to talk about them together. The reason I'm talking about them together is because this is an ensemble piece, and I have Carrie Coon, number 15, and Elizabeth Olsen, number 14, for His Three Daughters. Can't say much about this movie. I'll be reviewing it soon. However, I just think this is the case that it seems to be Carrie Coon, Elizabeth Olsen, and Natasha Lyonne, who I'll talk about later, all seem to be in contention for this movie. And they all seem to be in contention for Best Supporting Actress. And at this moment, it feels like Lyonne is the one that Netflix is really pushing of the three leads. Do I necessarily think all three or even one of them will get in? We'll get to that later when we talk about Natasha. However, it is just the case of I don't see this film getting two. Thus, if I'm only singling out one performance, I have Natasha Lyonne and Carrie Coon and Elizabeth Olsen are just there along for the ride. Number 13, people are going to be shocked. People are going to say this should have been your last place. I understand the decision. It is Ariana Grande, Wicked. Why do I have her number 13? I was thinking about this long and hard. And essentially, I've heard so much criticism about the idea of Ariana Grande is not going to be an actress giving a good performance, and she's going to be miscast in this role. Here's the thing. I just saw Wicked the musical a few weeks ago in San Francisco. It's a really good musical, by the way. But the thing about this performance that she is playing with Glinda the Good Witch is I think the first half of this play, which is the first half of this movie, the first part one of this movie is going to be the first half of the play. that is really actually going to play to Ariana Grande's strengths as an actress. It really gets to have a fun, personable side to her. She gets to be a little bratty. She gets to have the fun, big songs with this. I think this really gets to rely more on her comedic energy, which she has already shown when she worked as a child actress. I just think this is going to be a far more friendly type of performance from her. Part 2 is where it really starts diving into the emotional, and that's where I'm going to question the Ariana Grande performance maybe a little bit more. But for part 1, I actually think she's probably going to do a really good job. Not enough to get nominated, but enough to at least put her on this list. Number 12, maybe this is wishful thinking because I love this performance from Margaret Qualley in The Substance. Reason I think there is some belief that this movie could overperform is there is a real groundswell of support for Demi Moore. And Margaret Qualley is so much of the life of The Substance as well, and those performances are so closely woven together, quite literally in the movie, that I think there is a scenario where it's the case of if Demi Moore gets in, then people are going to be pushing for Margaret Qualley. Now, again, she's number 11 or number 12. I don't think she's actually going to get in. However, I think there could be some groundwell of support. She's also fantastic in the movie and really does have a big role in it. This is not the case of she's just barely in the movie. She is the co-lead of this movie. And like I said, I think it's a brilliant, incredibly daring and brave performance from Qualley. Number 11, I have Lesley Manville, which I have heard some people have singled her out as the performance in Queer. A lot of people I've heard say she gives one of the best performances in a movie that seemingly was really focused on Daniel Craig, where everything originally was like, oh, this is going to possibly be Daniel Craig's Oscar. Again, I just don't know about the role of this. And the reason I have it number 11 is I have heard the divisiveness of Queer for sure. And I'm even struggling to think if it's going to crack the top 10 for Best Picture. And I just think with some of the names and heavy hitters we're going to hit in a few moments, it just might not get in. Number 10, I mentioned this performer earlier. It is Natasha Lyonne, his 3 daughters. Again, this seems to be the performance that people are singling out in his 3 daughters. I think this film does have the struggle of if there's 3 performances and they're all kind of essential and they're all in tangent with another and they're all working together, like it becomes the issue of it's an ensemble piece and it's harder to just single out one person. And Netflix is already going to have quite a bit of competition in the Best Supporting Actress category. That was another reason that I was questioning this, because Emilia Perez is certainly going to get some nominations in this category. And they also have The Piano Lesson. So, I mean, potentially, if some people are to be believed, you could have possibly 2 with Perez. You could possibly have another one from The Piano Lesson. Thus, is Netflix really getting 4? I don't know. I don't even know if Netflix is going to get 3, let alone 4. So I'm just kind of making the bet that of all the performances in there, Leon is going to just kind of get the short end of the stick. I'll be reviewing his 3 daughters soon. Number 9, and this one is actually the stock is rising up. I have Ingenue Ellis-Taylor for Nickel Boys, a movie that, from my understanding, will actually be getting a bigger wide release in December. This could kind of play the American Fiction route, which did a similar strategy last year. I don't believe it's the same studios, but maybe I have that wrong. Maybe it is. It might be actually MGM. Regardless, I have heard nothing but praise for this movie, and she seems to be the best performance from what I've heard with this movie. Ingenue Ellis-Taylor is an incredibly talented actor. I'm just a little worried with Nickel Boys' potential to break out coming so late in the season, with there being so much competition already in December. And just the fact that I think the Best Supporting Actress race is stacked at the moment. Number 8, I know some people actually have this performance in their top 5 with Isabella Rossellini for Conclave. I don't feel the overwhelming love for this movie. I feel like a lot of people are admiring this movie and are liking this movie, certainly. I've also heard Isabella Rossellini doesn't get the most screen time in this movie, that it is very much a supporting part. And thus, it's just also going to come into the difficulties of other performances may just outrank her. That's why I'm a little worried about putting her any higher. And I think number 8 is a respectable place. Once this movie comes out, which from my understanding will be soon, I think end of October, then maybe her stock could rise. But these next 7 are pretty big, heavy hitters. Number 7, and I got to eat crow here because I was wrong about this after seeing the movie, and you can see my review here on my YouTube channel of Joker Folie Deux. Lady Gaga's not getting the nomination. I predicted her to win back in March. I thought everyone was crazy for undercounting. I thought everyone was crazy for counting out Joker. I just thought this was going to be the case of if Joaquin Phoenix could get it for 2019, Lady Gaga could certainly get it. She is an Academy darling. Then I saw the movie, then I saw the performance, and I'm like, nope, this isn't getting any higher. I think Lady Gaga's respectability within the Academy could maybe give her a push. And if this film ends up cracking over $1 billion, I should just note I am recording this video Wednesday, October 2nd. So this film has not released. The tracking looks bad right now. But if this film ends up overperforming, if it becomes another $1 billion sensation like the last film, I think all that is going to work in Lady Gaga's favor, especially because I think that would be the only one that WB is pushing for an above the line. I don't think they're going to be going for Best Picture. They're not going for screenplay. They're not going to try to get Phoenix in there. I just think Lady Gaga could get the groundswell of support for this film. If there is any support, based on the quality of the product that I saw, I'm just not buying it. Number 6. This is about to be where I get really controversial. Before I actually hit number 6, I find it more interesting to talk about the ones that feel more like locks. That way we can kind of just talk about who's left at the end. So I'm going to reveal at number 2, we're skipping 6, 5, 4, and 3 right now. At number 2, the one I feel the second most confidence about is Saoirse Ronan for Blitz. The narrative is she seems to be a contender for The Outrun in Best Leading Performance this year. She could be a dual nominee, and there's a lot of respect. And she could easily win for either of those. I think Best Actress is fairly open right now. I would say Mickey Madison is maybe the front runner for Best Actress. And it feels like Best Supporting Actress is also a little loose. It's kind of anyone's game. So I just think, assuming Blitz is good, which is big if, we haven't seen this movie yet, but we always know that Saoirse Ronan's usually good in movies, and she has the respect of her peers. She's been working for a long time. People do love her. And it wouldn't shock me to see that Ronan gets in for Blitz. And it's reminiscent of, I think, like Scarlett Johansson in 2019 with Jojo Rabbit and Marriage Story. One of them, maybe she's far more up for it than the other one, but the other one is just an honor of how good of work that she did this year. That's why Saoirse Ronan is number 2. Coming in at number 1, then, I have Zoe Saldana, Emilia Perez. I think she's just the clear front runner. Everyone's seeming to say that she is definitely in this race, that she could even be the winner of it. She has certainly been an actress who has paid her dues. She has been in some of the biggest films of the year, from Avatar to Avatar 2 to the Avengers films to Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, she has certainly been a staple within Hollywood for the past 15 to 20 years. So there could be the narrative of, especially if this movie's good and she's good in this movie, which all indications is yes for both of them. I could definitely see Zoe Saldana. Personally, I think she's my front runner to win, but you never know. But at this moment, I do feel very safe in saying that if there were any of these 5 that were going to happen for sure getting a nomination, I would put the safest money being Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez, which is why she gets to the 1 spot. That leaves us with 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm just going to read the 4 names I have, and we'll talk about order in a second. I have Felicity Jones for The Brutalist. I have Daniel Deadweiler for The Piano Lesson. I have Toni Collette for Juror No. 2. You heard that right, the new Clint Eastwood film. And then finally, I have Selena Gomez, Emilia Perez. So let's just start with the one that I'm feeling the most confident in. And this is going to be really weird because I'm going to break the order. I know I'm saying I feel the most confident about this one, but they're coming in at my number 4 spot, which is obviously antithetical. I am going to say Felicity Jones for The Brutalist. Brutalist is getting all the acclaim. A24 knows how to campaign movies. It feels like The Brutalist could easily end up being the film that has 10 to 12 to 13 nominations, and everyone just kind of gets in. Brody gets in, Guy Pearce gets in, Felicity Jones gets in, director, picture, screenplay, below the lines, like just on and on and on. That's why I'm feeling pretty good about just the chance of Felicity Jones just getting in there. I have her at 4, and the reason is because at number 3, I'm taking a huge swing here. Let's just talk about this, because now I have Daniel Deadwyler left for The Piano Lesson, Selena Gomez for Emilia Perez, Toni Collette for Juror No. 2. Let's talk about the one that I have seen so much discourse. They're going to be my number 5. I have Selena Gomez in for Emilia Perez at my number 5. The Oscar comp / historical comp that I'm thinking of is Jamie Lee Curtis getting in for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Obviously, Selena Gomez is nowhere near as trained as some of the other actresses in this category. I've heard this performance from her is certainly a career best, but it's not like she has this incredible body of work. Rather, what she does have is an ability to get eyes on this movie. She is one of the biggest social media people now. I quite literally didn't know how big her following was until recently. She is going to help get people to see Emilia Perez. She has that type of sway. On top of that, Oscars is all about campaigning, and she has that in her favor too. Not only is she, she going to be working with people like Steve Martin Short, who will certainly be pushing her up. Not only is the fact that Meryl Streep and Paul Rudd are also in that show, Only Murders in the Building. Not only is she friends with Taylor Swift, all of that, the machine really feels like it could start real quick. And I think of the Jamie Lee Curtis nomination and eventual win. And I think why that happened. And as I always believed it was Jamie Lee Curtis used her star power to bring attention to a film that otherwise maybe wasn't as easily accessible for audience. Jamie Lee Curtis was essentially the gateway into that movie. I think Selena Gomez may serve a similar role for a lot of audiences, especially a lot who are not familiar with this director's film style. And especially with this film having a transgender lead, I think there could be just a lot of goodwill towards Selena Gomez championing this movie. Is this a cynical take? Of course it is. But this is campaigning, and we should view these races a bit cynically. That leaves my number 3 spot between Daniel Deadwyler for The Piano Lesson, Toni Collette for Juror No. 2. I think you all know where I'm going with this, which is I said this list was going to be controversial. And I am taking the biggest swing here. And I am probably wrong. I will fully admit it. I am probably 100% going to be wrong in this prediction. I just cannot get the fact that Kathy Bates got nominated for Richard Jewell. Kind of out of nowhere. Not completely out of nowhere, but it was a pretty shocking announcement when she got in for Best Supporting Actress for playing the mother of Richard Jewell's character in the film Richard Jewell. I think of Toni Collette. I think the fact that she's been a very much a popular actress, that she has certainly had a new level of acclaim and fame post-Hereditary, post-Knives Out. There's a respectability that people have with her. She's really established herself as one of the great leading women in Hollywood. She is such a talent. And this is probably going to be Clint Eastwood's last go-around. I don't remember how old he is. I'm gonna Google this real quick, but I think Clint Eastwood is 94. Let's see if I'm right on that. He is 94, will be turning 95 in May. I don't see him directing many other movies. I don't think he has one on the schedule right now. This could very well be Clint Eastwood's last movie. And if this movie is just Richard Jewell level good, or American Sniper level good, I think this could end up kind of having the American Sniper effect, where it's just like this movie gets a lot of nominations kind of out of nowhere that people weren't necessarily expecting. That's kind of my prediction on this movie. I think this is kind of secretly the little movie this season that could. And that's just because I think there could be a lot of goodwill towards Clint Eastwood. Now, his directorial status of the past few years has definitely been in question. Like, he did the Paris movie about the terrorists, and they got the real heroes to play themselves in the movie. That wasn't good. He certainly had Crime Macho, which was okay. He had The Mule, which I liked, but, not the best movie. But then he had Richard Jewell in 2019, 5 years ago. I still kind of think he's a threat. And that's why I kind of just think maybe Toni Collette I believe she's playing the prosecutor in this film. She's going to get a lot of big lawyer scenes. She's going to get speeches. She's going to get very staged monologues in this. I don't know. I kind of think there's a chance that Clint Eastwood goes out with a bang. So I'm putting the most just kind of surprise, laying it all on the table there for Collette, which means, unfortunately, Danielle Deadwyler, I have her at number 6 for The Piano Lesson. And I know that's wrong. I know that is wrong. I know the support of this movie has largely been centered around this performance that Deadwyler gives for The Piano Lesson. There's a lot to believe. August Wilson has always done well with the Academy, whether it was Ma Rainey's Black Bottom or whether it was Fences. And the female leads specifically have always done well in those categories. So taking out Deadwyler seems a little incorrect. It's just my theory because, like I said, Zoe Saldana, number 1, Saoirse Ronan, number 2, Toni Collette, number 3, Felicity Jones, number 4, number 5, Selena Gomez. That's the list. It is just a game of numbers. And I think the cases for those 5, 4 of them I feel pretty good about. And then I have this Toni Collette. So I'm just taking the bet on Clint Eastwood. I cannot get Richard Jewell out of my head and what that film did. So that's my prediction. I went just 1 minute over 20 minutes. But thank you all for watching. And let me know that I'm wrong. Please let me know. I know that I'm wrong. I know that you all disagree with the Danielle Deadwyler one. And when this movie, Juror number 2, comes out in a few weeks, I think it comes out beginning of November, right before an election. Incredible from Clint. I'll probably be wrong and I'll have to eat crow for it. And then Danielle Deadwyler is certainly making the top 5 and maybe even the front runner to win. We'll see. It all changes quick. This is October, so might as well have some fun with this list. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you at least enjoyed my analysis and thoughts, even if you disagree with my power rankings. And if you like this video below and want more, please hit below to subscribe.